Well, what are some of the hardest problems you have to solve to advance this technology? What are some of the difficulties you face getting this to market?
The biggest issue is probably that we're dealing with biologics. You look at the cost of biological drugs, protein drugs. They're very expensive compared to the small chemical drug. Anytime you're using a biologic in a sensor, you have new problems. Cost in the consumer market is clearly a driver. If you're going to be using this as and it's designed as a disposable, like the old Kodak film or Polaroid film, to use once, throw it away. And if you want people to adopt it, it's got to be a low cost at a consumer level. So trying to take diagnostic or medical use type technology and push it down to the consumer level, cost is a major concern. Most of that cost is making the biologic, and to do that we have to clone human genes into yeast and grow the yeast. So we've licensed in technology that makes that cost effective.
So you're starting with some human cells scraped off of some part of a person, and
we take the DNA out that codes for the proteins for the olfactory receptors, and we clone those into yeast, and there are good reasons for using yeast, but deeper than we want to go into here.
Is this a field that's getting crowded? Do you have competitors, or do you have the field pretty much to yourself at this point?
Well, we do have competitors, and we would worry if there were none. But the real difference is that what is offered today is offered as a lab service. So there are a couple of companies that do use olfactory sciences, but the customer has to come to them, give them the assignment, and they do it at their own premises as a lab service, and they get very involved because of that in the customer's internal business and secrets. What we're doing is packaging this technology as a portable technology, so if Procter & Gamble wants to take it behind their firewall and not tell us what they're doing, that's fine.
What about therapeutic uses? So for example, if you're in the hospital, you'll probably have less stress if your hospital room smells like roses than some of the other things that you might smell in a hospital.
Yeah, there's actually a great study in the prisons in, I think it's Holland? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Holland. Where just wafting the smell of orange through the HVAC system of the prison, they've reduced their violent incidents 50% month to month. And they reduce the need for medication for the prisoners, psychiatric medication for the prisoners, 10%.
Because people spend enormous amounts of money on antidepressants and all these things to feel better. Maybe if they could just fill their house with the right smells, they'd get equal results.
Could be.
So what do you see as the ultimate direction of this technology? Do you think that, like, the average person will really feel the effect of this in coming years?
That's clearly our goal. I can imagine this would be incorporated into digital cameras. It'll be incorporated into television studios. The genesis of this idea is I like to cook. I like to watch the food channel, and I happened to look up from what I was working on when the chef was going, I wish you could smell this at home. I think I can do that.
I've heard there's also a connection between smell and memory. Certain smells are evocative of certain memories. Like you smell something in your childhood, and if you smell it again today, it'll instantly bring that up.
Yes.
Can that be leveraged for practical purposes?
The interesting thing in the first graph you showed, the neurons that go from the olfactory receptor into your brain, they actually go to the oldest part of your brain, whereas all your other senses get filtered by the higher level of your brain first. So you're triggering what is often referred to as the lizard brain with smell. So it's very emotional, very low level response in the brain. And yeah, it's one of the biggest triggers for memory.
Now, what are some of the sensitivity limits? Is there any theoretical limit as to how sensitive these chips can be?
Well, Luke has designed essentially a gain control on this. Luke did some of the original mathematics and understanding of how essentially gain in olfaction works.
Yeah, what I like to describe, it's a 3-protein system called G protein coupled receptors. There's the receptor, which I like to think of as the guitar in a rock band analogy. That's what responds. You pluck the right receptor or the right string on the guitar, you get a certain note. There's a pickup on that guitar, and it gets taken through and it comes out in a speaker. And that's the 3rd protein in the system, which amplifies the signal. So you get lots of copies of an internal molecule inside the cell for that one binding event or the one pluck of the string. And so the cell can now hear it. In between those 2 proteins is a protein called a G protein. And I like to describe that as the amplifier. And the mathematics that I did understanding this system was first elucidated by Richard Axel and Linda Buck. They won the Nobel Prize in the 2004, I think, for this. So they were the ones who first put it together. It's how all the human senses work. It's how all mammalian senses work. But the G protein is like the amplifier, and what I figured out was how to turn the gain up and down. So you can imagine now that yes, we can turn the gain way up on that amplifier with some chemical tricks, and you can imagine the Back to the Future movie where he blows out that giant speaker.
Well, it sounds like it has great potential, and I wish you all the best of luck with it. We are out of time, so we're going to have to wrap. I've been speaking with my guests, Chris Hansen of Aromics Technology, the founder and president, also Luke Schneider, board member of Aromics, also founder of
Target Discovery.
Sorry about that. This is Marty Wasserman. Visit our website, www.futuretalk.net. For Future Talk, see you next week.